My family had a horrible tradition. When the men turned 18, a ceremony was held where they could choose a woman to be their personal servant. I grew up watching the women in my family being treated like slaves. When I turned 18, my father organized a claiming day party for me, where I was supposed to choose a woman to serve all my needs. You see, my family had a tradition where the men slept until noon every day, while the women woke up at 4 a.m. to prepare elaborate breakfasts. All the men around me, including my brothers and my father, supported this without a second thought. But I saw something they didn't: the women had their lives cut short by overwork. Even my own mother had been doing this for 20 years and always tried to hide her exhaustion, but her body betrayed her. Deep dark circles under her eyes, wrinkled skin, that constant distant look in her eyes, all before the age of 40. The night before my ceremony, my mother pulled me aside. It broke my heart to notice how badly she was limping. I was about to ask her if she was okay when she broke down crying. She finally stopped hiding how she felt and told me everything, that she had chronic pain from so many years of being on her feet. She told me that my father had threatened to kick her out and replace her with someone younger if she ever complained. In that moment, I swore to be different from my father, brothers, and uncles. The claiming ceremony was held in a huge hall where all the eligible women stood in rows, barely clothed, while the birthday boys walked around, choosing whoever they wanted. My cousins were already there, showing off their servants. My cousin Liam had 4 women who took turns massaging his feet while he played video games all day. He always made fun of me for helping my mom with the dishes sometimes. I walked through the hall, feeling sick to my stomach, when I saw a girl struggling with my cousin Jerry. He was trying to force her to demonstrate her massage techniques right there in front of everyone. She kept pulling her hands away, and he got angrier and angrier. I knew Jerry, and I knew this was going to escalate. I walked up to him and told him that I was claiming her. He backed off immediately because those were the rules. The birthday boy had the first choice. The girl looked at me with pure panic in her eyes. I leaned in and whispered that I was going to help her escape. Her name was Lai. She had come to the ceremony because she needed money for her disabled sister's medical care. We met in secret over the next few days to plan our escape. My mother helped us, even though every movement caused her pain. She gave us her hidden savings that she had been stashing away for years by saving money from the grocery budget. She said that seeing me choose a different life was worth more than any amount of money. The night we left, there was another claiming party for my cousin. Everyone was drunk and distracted. Lai and I slipped out the back, but my brothers almost caught us. So, in a moment of quick thinking, my mom created a distraction by accidentally dropping a tray of expensive drinks. It broke my heart because I knew that stooping to clean it would leave her in pain for days, but I knew that someday I would come back for her. We made it to a small apartment 3 states away. I got a job in construction, and Lai worked at a daycare. For the first time in my life, I cooked and cleaned. Lai had panic attacks every time a man suddenly approached her. After 6 months, we had saved enough to bring Lai's sister to live with us. We were building something real until one morning I woke up to someone banging on the door. It was my father, along with 2 of my brothers. They were all yelling about how I had stolen his property. Lai was terrified, but she wasn't the same girl who cowered at the ceremony. She was braver, more confident. She told me to call the police while she grabbed a kitchen knife. My father broke down the door, his face turning purple when he saw me in an apron because I had been preparing dinner. Lai has made you weak, and if you can't teach her her proper role, I will. He then lunged toward Lai. She tried to back away, but he grabbed her arm. My brothers just watched. He raised his fist, and that's when Lai acted. She moved the knife in pure self-defense and wounded him in the stomach. He fell to the floor, clutching the wound. I grabbed towels to try and stop the bleeding while Lai called 911. My head was spinning, but I tried to explain everything as clearly as possible. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. The lawyer said it looked bad because my father was a respected businessman. The paramedics arrived in minutes, their sirens cutting through the chaos of our apartment. My father was writhing on the floor, blood soaking the towels. The EMTs pushed me aside and took over, their movements precise and calculated. One of them looked at Lai, who was standing with the bloody knife still in her hand. "Ma'am, you need to drop that," he said calmly. Lai's fingers slowly opened, and the knife clattered to the floor. My brothers finally moved, but only to back away against the wall, their faces pale. None of them expected that outcome. The police arrived shortly after. 2 officers entered our apartment with their hands resting on their holsters. They surveyed the scene, seeing my father on the stretcher, the blood on the floor, and the trembling figure of Lai. "We need to take statements from everyone," the taller officer said. His partner started photographing the scene as the EMTs wheeled my father out. I explained everything as best I could, how my father had broken down the door, threatened and attacked Lai, and how she had acted in self-defense. The officer took notes, his expression neutral. My brothers gave their version, too, claiming that Lai had attacked him without provocation. Of course they did. They took Lai to the station for more questioning. They wouldn't let me go with her. The shorter officer assured me it was standard procedure, but watching her go, my chest tightened. She looked back at me one last time, her eyes filled with fear. I spent the next 3 hours cleaning blood from the floor and trying to fix the broken door. My hands were shaking the whole time. Finally, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "This is Detective Martinez," a woman's voice said. "We need you to come down to the station. There are some inconsistencies in the statements we've received." The police station smelled of burnt coffee and disinfectant. They led me to a small room where Detective Martinez sat across from me, an open folder between us. "Your father is stable," she began. "The wound wasn't as deep as it looked. He'll make a full recovery." I felt relief and disappointment fighting inside me. I repressed both feelings. "However," she continued, "he's pressing charges against MS. Lai for assault with a deadly weapon. Your brothers are supporting his version that she attacked him without provocation." "That's not what happened," I said firmly. "He broke into our home. He grabbed her. She defended herself." Detective Martinez studied me. "The problem is, it's 3 against 2. Your father also claims that MS. Lai was his property, that you stole her." "She's not property," I said, my voice rising. "She's a person. We left because we wanted normal lives." "I understand that," the detective said, "but your father has documentation. Something about the claiming ceremony. He says it's a binding cultural tradition in your family." My stomach churned. I explained the family tradition, how they treated women like servants, how I helped Lai escape. Detective Martinez's expression grew more concerned with each detail. "This complicates things," she said at the end. "We'll have to investigate further. MS. Lai will be released on bail, but she can't leave the state." Bail was set at $50,000, almost everything Lai and I had saved. I emptied our account and borrowed the rest from my coworkers. When they finally released her at midnight, she collapsed into my arms, crying. We took a taxi back to the apartment. The building manager had put a temporary board on the broken door, and on the side, the blood stain on the floor had darkened despite my cleaning it earlier. "I'm going to prison," Lai whispered. "No, you're not," I told her, even though I wasn't sure I believed it. "We'll figure this out." The next morning, we met with a public defender named Catherine. She was young, probably fresh out of law school, with tired eyes and a stack of cases on her desk. "Your father has hired a private attorney," she told us. "A good one. They're pushing the narrative that this was premeditated. That you lured him here to attack him." "That's insane," I said. He showed up at our door. Can you prove it? Catherine asked. Witnesses? We had none. The building cameras had been broken for months, and the neighbors were at work. Catherine sighed. Look, I'll be honest. This doesn't look good. Your father is a respected man, he has contacts. The jury is going to see a young woman who stabbed an older man, without concrete proof of self-defense. She didn't need to say more, we understood. In the following weeks, my father's lawyer built their case. They subpoenaed records of the claiming ceremony, presenting it as a legitimate cultural practice that we had violated. They brought in character witnesses, other men from the family who testified to how unstable and violent Lai was. My uncle said he saw her acting aggressively at the ceremony. My cousin Jerry claimed she threatened him. All lies, but told with such conviction that I almost believed them. Our defense was weak. Lai's co-workers said she was kind and good with kids. My construction boss said I was reliable and honest, but those witnesses only helped so much. The stress began to take its toll on us. Lai stopped eating, losing weight she couldn't afford to lose. She jumped at every sound, convinced my family was coming back for her. I worked overtime to pay for more legal consultations, coming home exhausted and finding her curled up in the corner of the bedroom. Maybe I should just plead guilty, she said one night. Take a deal, and this will be over. Don't you dare, I said, holding her close. You didn't do anything wrong. But doubt crept in. What if the jury believed my father? What if they saw our relationship as proof that I corrupted her, that I made her violent? The prosecution apparently thought that angle would work well. 3 weeks before the trial, Catherine called with news. The prosecution offered a deal. Lai pleads guilty to assault, not attempted murder. 2 years of probation, no jail time. But she's innocent, I protested. I know, Catherine said, but if we go to trial and lose, she's facing 5 to 10 years. We had 48 hours to decide. Lai and I went over all the possibilities. The safe option was clear, take the deal, avoid prison. But that would mean Lai would have a violent crime on her record forever. It would affect every job application, every background check. I will not plead guilty to something I didn't do, Lai decided. I defended myself. If the jury doesn't see that, then maybe I deserve what's coming. Catherine tried to talk her out of it, but Lai was firm. We would go to trial. The weeks leading up to it were a whirlwind of preparation. Catherine coached us on testifying, warning us about the prosecution's tactics. My father had fully recovered and would be testifying. The thought of seeing him again made my skin crawl. 2 days before the trial, my phone rang at 3 a.m. It was my mother. Don't hang up, she whispered. I'm on a payphone. Your father doesn't know I'm calling. My heart pounded. Mom, are you okay? Listen carefully, she said. Your father has been coaching your brothers to testify, making them practice their lies. But I recorded them on my phone. I have proof they're lying. Mom, that's... I tried to say. No more, she interrupted. I can't keep watching him destroy you, destroy that poor girl. I'm not staying quiet anymore. He'll hurt you if he finds out, I said. I'm leaving, she said. After the trial. I've been saving up, just like I taught you. But first, I'm going to tell the truth. She gave me the address of a diner where we could meet. She said she would bring the recordings. When I told Lai, she cried for the first time in weeks, not from sadness, but from hope. We met my mother the next morning. She looked older than she was, moving with difficulty from the chronic pain, but her eyes held a determination I had never seen. I have 3 recordings, she said, sliding her phone across to me. Your father telling your brothers exactly what to say, threatening to disinherit them if they don't obey, and best of all, him admitting he went to your apartment to take that girl by force. Catherine almost cried when she heard them. "This changes everything," she said. "But your mother will have to testify. Is she ready?" My mother nodded. "I have to. Someone should have saved me 20 years ago." The trial started on a Tuesday. The courtroom was smaller than I imagined, filled with dark wood and uncomfortable benches. My father was at the prosecution's table, his expensive suit unable to hide the anger radiating from him. He looked at Lai as if she were something he had stepped in. The prosecutor painted Lai as a violent woman who manipulated me into helping her attack my father, that it was all a planned scheme. "He wants you to believe she's a victim," he told the jury, "but the evidence will show she is the true aggressor here." When Catherine gave her opening statement, she focused on the truth, a young woman who only wanted to escape a life of servitude, a father who saw women as property, a moment of desperate self-defense against an attacker. Ms. Lai didn't ask for any of this, she said. She only wanted to live a normal life, and when that was threatened, she defended herself, as any of us would. The first day of testimony was brutal. My father took the stand, playing the role of the wounded patriarch perfectly. He spoke of tradition, of honor, of how I had betrayed the family by stealing what was his. He claimed that Lai was always violent, that she had attacked other men at the ceremony. "I went to their apartment to talk," he lied smoothly, "to bring my son home. But that woman attacked me the moment I walked in. If my sons hadn't been there as witnesses." He wiped his eyes, the image of the grieving father. Several jurors seemed to sympathize. Your brothers testified next, their stories fitting together too perfectly. They described Lai as unstable and aggressive, saying she threatened them before attacking our father. Catherine cross-examined them skillfully, but they stuck to the script, until she asked Jerry a simple question. "You said Ms. Lai threatened you in the apartment. What exactly did she say?" Jerry hesitated. "That wasn't in the script. She said she would call everyone if we didn't leave." "Interesting," Catherine replied, "because your brother just testified that she didn't say anything before she attacked. So which is the truth?" The first crack in their story. Jerry stammered, tried to backtrack, but she was done. A juror frowned, taking notes. When Lai testified, she told the simple truth, clearly. That she only went to the ceremony for money to help her sister. That I helped her escape. That we built a life together, and that my father had broken down the door, grabbed her, and raised his fist. "I was terrified," she said. "I thought he was going to hit me. I just wanted him to let go." The prosecutor tried to trip her up, but Lai held firm. She didn't mean to hurt anyone, she acted on instinct, protecting herself from an attacker. I testified next, corroborating everything. The prosecutor tried to paint me as a lovesick fool, manipulated by a calculating woman, but I stayed calm and stuck to the facts. Then came the moment we were waiting for. Catherine called my mother to the stand. My father's face went white when he saw her walk in. He half stood before his lawyer made him sit down. My mother walked slowly, the pain evident, but her head held high. "Ma'am," Catherine said, "you've been married to the accused father for 20 years. "Yes," my mother replied clearly. "And in those 20 years, have you observed his behavior toward the women in your family?" The prosecutor objected, but the judge allowed it. My mother began to speak. She told the jury about the family tradition, about the women serving as slaves while the men lived like kings, about her own pain and suffering, about my father's threats to replace her if she complained. "He sees women as property," she said, looking directly at my father. "Not as people, but as property to own and control." Then Catherine played the recordings. My father's voice filled the room, coaching my brothers to lie, threatening them, and finally, the confession, "I'm going to take that girl back where she belongs, and if my son tries to stop me, I'll take care of him, too." The courtroom was silent. Several jurors looked disgusted. My father's lawyer objected frantically, but the judge accepted the evidence. When the prosecutor cross-examined my mother, he tried to discredit her, suggesting she was spiteful, vengeful, that she only wanted to destroy her husband. "I just want to save my son," my mother replied simply, "and that young woman. Because someone should have saved me 20 years ago." The closing arguments came the next day. The prosecutor stuck to his narrative, but now it sounded hollow. Catherine reminded the jury of the evidence, the recordings, the inconsistencies in my family's testimony. Ms. Lai faced a terrible choice, she said. Submit to a life of servitude or defend herself. She chose to defend herself. That's not a crime, that's survival. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. 6 hours of pacing the courthouse halls, of Lai squeezing my hand so tight it went numb, of my mother sitting quietly beside us, finally free of her secret. When they called us back in, I could barely breathe. The spokesperson stood up, verdict in hand. On the charge of assault with a deadly weapon, we find the defendant not guilty. Lai collapsed against me, crying. My mother smiled for the first time in years. Across the room, my father's face twisted in rage. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear was already planning an appeal. But it was over. We had won. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Catherine steered us to a quiet place to catch our breath. "Thank you," Lai whispered to my mother. "You saved me." "You saved yourself," my mother replied. "I just told the truth." We drove back to our apartment in silence, exhausted but relieved. The door had been repaired while we were gone, a small sign that what is broken can be fixed. That night, as Lai slept peacefully for the first time in months, I called my mother. "What will you do now?" I asked. "I'm leaving tomorrow," she said. "My aunt in Oregon said I can stay with her." "Will you be safe?" "Safer than I've been in 20 years, she replied. "And you too?" I looked at Lai, curled up next to me. "We're going to keep building our life. Maybe move again, start over." "Good," my mother said. "Live the life I couldn't." The two of them. The next morning, we helped my mother leave. She took only what she could carry, leaving behind 20 years of servitude. As we said goodbye, she pressed something into my hand, a photo of us from when I was a little boy, before the tradition wore her down. "Remember me like this," she said. "And remember that you chose to be different." My father tried to contact us several times in the following weeks, with threatening messages and promises to ruin our lives. We documented everything and applied for restraining orders. The law that almost failed us was now protecting us. Lai's sister came to live with us, just as we had planned in the beginning. She was shy, traumatized by her own experiences, but she slowly began to trust that our home was safe, that no one would hurt her here. We found new jobs in another city, far away from my family's influence. Lai went back to school, studying to be a social worker. She wanted to help other women escape situations like ours. I supported her completely, working construction by day and taking care of the house at night. It was hard, but honest work. 6 months later, we heard that my father's business had collapsed. Without my mother to run the household, and with his reputation damaged by the trial, everything fell apart quickly. My brothers, who never learned to take care of themselves, struggled to adapt. Part of me felt sorry for them. They had been raised in the same toxic tradition, taught to feel entitled to be served. But they made their choices, just as I made mine. On the anniversary of our escape, Lai and I returned to the city where it all began. Not to our old apartment, but to the courthouse where she won her freedom. We stood outside, remembering how terrified we had been. "Do you regret anything?" I asked. Lai squeezed my hand. "Only that I had to hurt someone to be free. But no, I don't regret defending myself, or choosing to build a life with you." We drove past my family's compound on our way out of town. The grand hall where the claiming ceremonies were held looked smaller than I remembered. Several windows were boarded up, the parking lot empty. "Do you think the tradition will die?" Lai asked. "Maybe," I replied. "Change is slow, but my mother proved that even after 20 years, people can choose differently." When we got home, we found the last letter from my mother. She had settled in Oregon. She got a part-time job despite her chronic pain, was seeing a doctor, getting proper treatment for the first time. She had even made friends with other women who had left controlling situations. "I'm proud of both of you," she wrote. "You showed me it was possible to leave, to choose a different life. Now I wake up when I want, I eat breakfast sitting down. Small freedoms, but they mean everything. Lai and I built our life on those small freedoms. The freedom to make our own choices, to treat each other as equals, to wake up every morning knowing we were safe. It wasn't the life my father had planned for me, it was better. It was ours." Looking back, that moment when Lai defended herself changed everything. Not just for us, but for my mother too. Sometimes, breaking chains requires desperate acts. Sometimes, standing up for yourself is the only choice. But we survived. We healed. And we built something real from the broken pieces of our old lives. That's more than tradition ever gave us. That's freedom. The peace lasted exactly 3 weeks. I was on a construction site when my foreman called me aside. His expression made my stomach drop. "Your cousin is here," he said quietly. "He says it's a family emergency." Through the office window, I saw Jerry leaning against a truck, the same smirk on his face as at the ceremony. I clenched my fists involuntarily. "Tell him I'm busy," I said. "I already did," he replied. "He says your mom is in the hospital." The words hit me like a punch. I checked my phone, but there were no missed calls from her. Still, the seed of worry was planted. What if something had happened to her? What if my father found out about her testimony? Jerry was cleaning his nails when I approached him. "You took your time," he said nonchalantly. "What happened to my mom?" "Oh, she's fine. More or less." He walked away from the truck, circling me. "A little tumble down the stairs. Broke her wrist. Could have been worse." The threat hung between us, unsaid but clear. "If you touched her." I was 3 states away. "Ask anyone." Jerry's smirk widened. "But you know how clumsy women are when they're upset. Especially when they hear their son might lose his job." "What are you talking about?" I asked. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was me on the construction site, but edited to look like I was pocketing tools. Jerry showed another where I appeared to be tampering with equipment. The quality was good, too good. "It's amazing what technology can do these days," Jerry said. "If your foreman gets this, along with a few anonymous reports about theft. Well, this is blackmail. This is family looking out for family." He put the phone away. "Dad wants to see you." Neutral ground. "Just to talk." "We have restraining orders," I replied. "They expire in 2 weeks. He's willing to let them lapse without renewals. No court fights. All you have to do is listen." Everything inside me screamed danger, but if they could fake evidence that easily, what else could they do? And I had to make sure my mother was okay. "One meeting," I said at last. "Public place. Lai doesn't get involved." Jerry's smile turned predatory. "See? It wasn't so hard to be reasonable." The meeting was set for that weekend at a central cafe. I spent the days leading up to it preparing, researching recording laws, planning escape routes. Lai begged to come with me, but I couldn't risk it. Her sister needed her, and I wouldn't put Lai in danger again. My father was in a corner, stirring a coffee he wasn't drinking. He had lost weight since the trial, his expensive suit hung loose on him. But his eyes held the same cold calculation. "Son," he said as I sat down across from him. He sighed theatrically. "So much hostility after everything I've done for you." "Everything you've done? You mean treating Mom like a slave? Attacking Lai? Trying to destroy our lives?" "I was trying to save you," he said, his voice hard. "From throwing away your birthright for a girl who manipulated you." "No one manipulated me," I replied. "I made my own choices." "Did you really?" He leaned forward. "Or did she put ideas in your head? Did she make you think you wanted something else? You were happy before her. I was ignorant before her. There's a difference." He slammed his fist on the table, rattling the silverware. A few customers looked at us nervously. He forced a smile and waved to them. "You cost me everything," he hissed. "My business, my reputation. Your brothers barely speak to me." "Mom." I stayed quiet, clenching my jaw. "Mom made her own choice, just like I did." "Choices have consequences," he replied. He pulled out a folder and slid it across to me. Inside were photos: Lai walking to work, her sister in physical therapy, my mother entering her new apartment in Oregon. I felt a cold chill run through me. "We know where everyone is," he said calmly. "Where they work. Where they shop. Their routines." "Why would you do that?" I asked. "Why would you touch them?" He held his hands out innocently. "I'm just showing you how vulnerable they are. How many accidents could happen. Mom already had one little fall. He lowered his voice dangerously. Public place, remember? You wouldn't want to cause a scene." I forced myself to breathe slowly. "What do you want?" "It's simple. Come home. Take your place in the family. Bring the girl back if you want, but she serves as she should. Mom comes back, too. We forget this unfortunate rebellion ever happened. And if not, then there will be accidents." He stood up, adjusting his jacket. "You have 1 week to decide. Choose wisely." He left me sitting there, the photos spread out on the table as proof that I had failed to protect the ones I loved. I drove straight to Lai, gripping the steering wheel. She saw my face and pulled me inside immediately. "What happened? What did he want?" I showed her the photos and watched the color drain from her face as she understood the threat. Her sister came out of her room, saw us, and quickly went back in. "We have to leave," Lai said. "Tonight. Pack what you can, pick up your mom, disappear. He'll find us. He has money, connections. We'd be running forever. Better than the alternative." But even as we discussed it, I knew that running wouldn't work. My father had resources, and more importantly, patience. He would wait years if he had to. He would let us think we were safe, and then he would strike. "There has to be another way," I said. Every passing car made us tense, every noise made us check the locks. Lai's sister picked up on the fear. She spent the night in the living room with a baseball bat. The next morning, I called my mother. She answered on the first ring, her voice tense. "I'm okay," she said before I could ask. "The fall wasn't an accident, but I'm okay." "I am so sorry, Mom. This is my fault." "No." Her voice became firm. "This is your father's fault. Don't let him manipulate you. He wants us all back if we don't fight." The determination in her voice surprised me. "How do we fight someone like that?" "The same way we did before. With the truth." But the truth hadn't stopped her from being pushed down the stairs. The truth wouldn't prevent accidents. We needed more. The idea came from Lai's sister. She had been the quietest since she arrived, withdrawn from the trauma, but that night at dinner, she spoke. The other women, she said softly. From the ceremonies. They're still trapped. Lai and I looked at each other. And them? If they knew it was possible to leave? If they saw what you did? She didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. It was dangerous, perhaps even suicidal, but it was also brilliant. We spent 2 days planning. I contacted construction workers who had once mentioned sisters or daughters. Lai contacted women from support groups. Slowly, we built a network. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. My foreman's daughter had been claimed 5 years ago. He never talked about it, but the pain was sometimes visible. Yalma, he admitted over beers, crying, begged me to help her, but what could I do? It's tradition. Tradition can change, I said. I told him our story, the escape, the trial, the threats. His face went from disbelief to rage. The two of you, and others can too. He was silent for a long time. So what do you need? The word spread, whispered, carefully. A network of families who had lost daughters, sisters who saw their siblings disappear into servitude. Not everyone was ready, some were too deep in tradition, too scared. But enough listened. Enough waited. Jerry showed up at our apartment 3 days before the deadline. Lai's sister hid while we confronted him at the door. Just stopping by to see if you've made the smart decision. We're still thinking, I lied. He walked in as if he owned the place. Nice house. Shame if anything happened to it. That's a threat. Just an observation, he said, picking up a photo of us, examining it. Fires happen in old buildings. Faulty wiring, you know. Lai clenched her hands, but stayed silent. We had agreed beforehand, don't give him any leverage. We understand, I said. You can hurt us. Message received. I can, and I will, if I have to. He put the photo back. But it doesn't have to be that way. The two of you come back, take your place, and everyone will be safe. We need more time. 2 more days. He went to the door, then paused. Oh, and that network you're building? More people can get hurt when it falls apart. He left. Lai slumped onto the sofa. They know. They know something, but not everything. It's too dangerous. We should stop. If we stop now, nothing changes. More women will get trapped, more families will be destroyed. She was quiet for a moment. You're right. Let's finish this. The next day, everything sped up. My foreman's daughter called, hysterical. Her owner had become more violent and suspicious. 2 other women reported the same thing. The men were paranoid, sensing they were losing control. We moved up the plan. The idea was simple in theory, dangerous in practice: coordinate multiple escapes during the next claiming ceremony. In the chaos, some could get away. Those who made it would have safe houses, job opportunities, legal support, everything we had wished for. But first, we had to survive the deadline. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Neither could Lai. Her sister insisted on standing guard, still with the bat. No matter what happens tomorrow, Lai whispered, I want you to know. Don't say anything, I held her. We'll all make it. You promise? I couldn't promise, but I held her tighter and pretended to be confident. At dawn, the message from Jerry came. Time's up. Decision. I replied, meet at the cafe. Same place, 1 hour. Bring the girl. No. Then there's no deal. I showed the messages to Lai. She was already dressed, she had expected this. We'll go together, she said firmly. No more protecting me. We're partners. Her sister came out of her room. I'm coming too. No way, Lai replied. You saved me. Now I'm helping to save others. Her soft voice was firm. I know what this is. They need to see someone who survived. We couldn't talk her out of it. In the end, the three of us went to the cafe, knowing it was likely a trap. It was too empty. Jerry was waiting in the same corner, but he wasn't alone. Two of his cousins flanked him. Family meeting, he said cheerfully. We sat down, Lai's sister between us, trembling but chin held high. Your answer? Jerry asked. We're not coming back, I replied. None of us. His smirk faltered. Too bad. But we have a counteroffer. You're not in a position to bargain. Actually, we are. I showed him a text thread on my phone. 43 women, ready to leave. Network in place, safe houses, legal support. Happening tomorrow. Jerry's face turned ashen. You're lying. Check it, I said. One of the cousins stood up, but Jerry stopped him. Listen, I continued, you leave all of us alone, and we keep this small. It's just a few women, nothing that threatens the tradition. But if anything happens to us, or our families, Lai said, everyone goes public. Video testimony from dozens of women, ready to drop if necessary. It was a half lie, we had 20, not 43. The videos existed, but weren't as complete. But Jerry didn't know that. You're destroying our culture, he growled. We're offering choice, Lai's sister interjected. Something you never gave. Jerry studied us for a long time, calculating. Finally, he leaned back. I'll have to consult with the family. You have until tonight. After that, we're sticking to the plan. We left together, heads held high despite the fear. In the parking lot, Lai's sister let out a broken laugh. Did we just do that? Yes, Lai said, hugging her. You were incredible. But I was watching the cafe window. Jerry was on the phone. This wasn't over. That night, we gathered our network at the Safe Housia converted warehouse. Nerves were high. The women prepared, the helpers went over routes, legal paperwork, jobs. My foreman was there, phone in hand. She's ready, he told me, tears in his eyes. Others shared the hope, a brother reclaiming his sister, a mother watching her daughter become free. It was beautiful and terrifying. Catherine the lawyer went from group to group, explaining rights and procedures. This is incredible, she told me at one point, and incredibly dangerous. You know that, right? We know. If even half of these women get out, it'll change everything. That was the hope. But first, we had to survive the night. At midnight, my father called. You've caused quite a commotion, he said without preamble. Good. Do you know what you're playing with? The forces you're unleashing. I'm only giving people a choice. That's all. Choice, he spat the word. You're destroying centuries of tradition. Stable families, all built on understanding roles. Men lead, women serve. It's the natural order. It's abuse, and it's ending. Silence. When he spoke again, he sounded old, tired. Your mother called me yesterday. It surprised me. I thought she was calling to gloat, but she wasn't. She wanted to warn me, she said. That I would lose everything if I didn't change. She said you were giving me an opportunity to adapt. Will you take it? Another long pause. The ceremony is still on tomorrow, as always. What happens is up to you. But know this, every woman who leaves tears the fabric of the community. Every family that's divided weakens us all. Then build something better. Based on partnership, not ownership. He laughed bitterly. You sound just like her. Like your mother when she was young. Before she learned her place. She never learned it. She survived it. There's a difference. Maybe, he sounded ancient. I guess tomorrow we'll see which way the wind blows. He hung up. I stared at the phone, not knowing what to think. Was that acceptance? A threat? Both? Lai found me outside, processing the call. He won't stop us, she said. But he won't help either. Less than we hoped for. Will it be enough? She took my hand. It has to be. The ceremony started at noon. Our people were in position, women ready to run, drivers waiting, safe houses prepared. Everything we could control was ready. But as the sun rose, I knew the hard part was still to come. In hours, we would be liberating dozens of women, or losing everything. Lai's sister joined us on the steps, the baseball bat traded for a supply backpack. No matter what happens, she said, thank you for showing me it was possible. Thank yourself, Lai said. For daring to believe it. As I went in, my phone vibrated. A message from Catherine, legal team ready. Safe houses prepared. Good luck. Another from my foreman, my daughter knows the signal. Thank you. I watched Lai and her sister cross the street, blending in with the attendees. My chest tightened, seeing them go back to that place, but we had planned everything. They knew their roles. I entered through a service door my mother had shown me. The kitchen staff barely looked at me, my family resemblance served as a pass. I went to the maintenance closet where we had stashed supplies, keys, money, disguises. The ceremony began with the usual pomp. My uncle's voice boomed, welcoming everyone to the sacred tradition. I positioned myself near the emergency exit. From there, I saw the main hall, dozens of women lined up while the men circled like predators. I saw Lai in the back with her sister, talking discreetly to other women, spreading the plan one last time. The selection began. My cousin Marcus chose a girl no older than 19. She walked mechanically, trained to obey, but I caught the slight gesture she made to the woman next to her. She was one of ours. More selections, more signals. Hand on the ear, ready. Hand on the hip, not yet. The network communicated in silence. Jerry appeared, scanning the crowd. He found Lai. That wasn't in the plan. Lai's sister stepped in between them, saying something. Jerry got furious and grabbed her arm. Everything went wrong. A woman in the front, my foreman's daughter, screamed, I won't go with you. I won't be your slave. The hall filled with confusion. Security moved, but 3 other women backed her up, then 5, then 10. I threw open the emergency exit. This way. I shouted to anyone who would listen. At first, they hesitated, trained to fear disobedience. But when they saw others running, the dam broke. Women poured out, some still in their ceremonial dresses, others grabbing clothes we had stashed. Jerry still had Lai's sister, but she broke free and ran toward me. He followed, but Lai stepped in the way. She pushed him, and he fell. The look of surprise on his face when a woman dared to push him was worth everything. Go, go. I herded the women toward the exit where the drivers were waiting. My foreman was there, crying as he hugged his daughter. More quick reunions, we couldn't stay. Security was finally reacting, but chaos was our ally. Some women weren't in the network but seized the opportunity and fled. Men were yelling orders that went unheeded. The centuries-old order was crumbling in minutes. I saw my father on the platform, his face purple with rage. Our eyes met for a moment. I thought he would cross the crowd, but instead, he yelled at security. Time to go, Lai said, her sister already in the car. But more women were still coming out, some familiar, some unknown. We couldn't leave them. 5 more minutes, I said. No time, Lai warned. But 2 guards arrived to block the exit. The women behind me pushed, desperate to escape. One of the guards tried to grab a girl barely 18. Without thinking, I stepped between them. The first blow caught me in the ribs, but I stayed on my feet. The other guard lunged for the women. I tackled him. More men were coming, cousins, uncles, goons. But something beautiful happened. The women didn't just run, they fought back, using purses, shoes, their own bodies. The girl I protected helped me get free of the guard. Lai appeared with a fire extinguisher and sprayed foam in the guards' faces. In the confusion, more women escaped. The cars pulled away with their passengers. We followed protocol, switching cars twice. When we arrived at the refuge, it was organized chaos. Women received clothes, paperwork, job offers. Volunteer counselors offered support. My foreman hugged me, unable to speak. His daughter whispered, "Thank you," over and over. Similar scenes were everywhere, sisters reunited, mothers seeing their daughters free, women forming bonds of survival. Catherine walked up to me. "The press is already calling. Your family is threatening legal action, but they're on shaky ground. Most of these women are adults and left of their own free will. And for those who aren't, we have emergency custody paperwork ready, foster families. We're prepared." A number I didn't recognize called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "You think you won?" My father's voice was ice. "You saved a few. There are thousands more. It's a start. You have them marked. We know their names, their faces. They'll never be safe. And neither will you." Silence. This isn't over. I watched Lai organizing housing, her sister teaching self-defense to the women. My foreman was introducing his daughter to a job program. Jerry came in with several men. The room tensed, but he stopped when he saw the cameras Catherine had set up. Local press was covering everything. "You can't hold them," he growled. "They're your family." "They're their own people," I replied, aware of the cameras. "They chose to leave." He took a step forward, fists clenched. Several women clustered behind me, but not in fear and solidarity. My foreman and Catherine joined us, a wall of people who chose freedom over tradition. Jerry looked at the cameras, at the resistance, at the women who were no longer his. For the first time, I saw him hesitate. He left with his entourage. The night was a blur. Women moved to permanent homes, legal paperwork was filed, stories were shared with the press. The network held, everyone played their part. By dawn, the refuge was almost empty, most people already in safe locations. Some chose to live together, others with family. Lai found me on the dock, watching the sunrise. She sat next to me. "We did it," she said softly. "We started it," I corrected. "There's a long way to go, but look what we accomplished together." Her sister brought us coffee, and we sat in silence, exhausted but energized. My phone kept buzzing, messages from women who made it safely, each one a small victory. Catherine walked out of the warehouse. "I just heard. 3 other ceremonies in neighboring states were disrupted today. Women just walked out. Your actions inspired others. The domino effect we hoped for, but not this fast. Your families have called an emergency meeting, they're still trying to figure out how to save the tradition. But several of the younger men are already rebelling. They're demanding changes, not elimination, but its progress." As we left, I thought of my mother, safe in Oregon. Of the men forced to question their world. Of traditions crumbling under their own cruelty. The battle wasn't over. There would be backlash, lawsuits, attempts to get women back. But something had changed forever. The hall that enslaved generations was now the site of their liberation. Lai drove us home, her sister asleep in the back. My ribs and lip were sore, but I felt lighter than I had in years. What now? Lai asked as we arrived. Now, I said, we help them rebuild lives. Get jobs, therapy, whatever they need. Your family. She looked at me. They'll adapt or become obsolete. Their power is gone. We helped her sister get to bed, she had earned it, facing her fears. The healing would take time, but it had begun. Lai and I curled up on the sofa, too tired to make it to the bedroom. She tended to my ribs. I'm proud of you, she murmured. Of us, I corrected. The phone buzzed with a photo, a woman with the key to her first apartment of her own. This is just the beginning. Tomorrow, there will be new challenges. But tonight, 47 women will sleep free. And sometimes, that's how you change the world. One person, one choice, one key at a time.